Hey guys, it's Nichole Eaton with the Rock Your Soul book and podcast, where we talk about how to hack your mindset, grow your intuition, and live your best life. You can support this podcast by subscribing, leaving a positive review, and screenshot and sharing on social media. Hey guys, it's your host, Nichole Eaton, back with another episode of the Rock Your Soul podcast. I am continuing this whole vibe of full ass February, of going all in on your life, of committing to yourself. I feel like there's a theme this week and even last week with my clients of connecting with people who are feeling this pressure, this internal pressure to level up in their lives, to get their whole life on this new level, to step into their power, to be seen, to stand up for themselves, to be more authentic, to show up. Okay. So there's this whole feeling amongst most empaths, I believe, but I think it's probably universal of just it's time to stop messing around. It's time to let yourself be seen. And with this whole idea of stepping into your power, of owning your shit, of putting your life into the next level, of taking yourself into the next level, comes fear and comes feelings of who am I to do this? This doubt in the back of your head of these old stories regurgitating themselves and in asking you that question of who am I to do this? What happens if people aren't cool with the new me? What happens if I get haters? What happens? How am I going to feel if people are saying that I'm not meant to be doing this or that I'm this or that? And there's a lot of focus on the external. There's a lot of focus not on what's coming from in you outside of you, but what might impact you from the outside in. And the cool thing about stepping into yourself is that the more full you get, the more clear you get within yourself, the more you build yourself up, the more you focus on yourself, the more of a stronger outer core that you get, that you can understand and separate from the people who are hating on you. And you can understand and separate from the people who are judging you. And it's not that you have to completely disown people, although that's not always a bad idea. But it's about creating boundaries. It's about respecting yourself. And it's also about understanding that other people having an issue with what you're doing has absolutely nothing to do with you. And it has to do with whatever insecurities, fears, concerns, or doubts they're up against in their own personal life. Whatever things that they need to grip onto of importance that is helping them manage at the time. So if we can understand that other people's opinions just literally have nothing to do with us, then we can start the process of overcoming our own doubts, our own fears. And the question I've been getting a lot in my sessions, and even sometimes within myself when I'm pushing more content out or letting myself be more visible, the question is, who am I to do this? And my question to you is, who are you not to do this? Who are you to keep your gifts inside of you? Who are you to refrain from helping somebody, even if it's just one person, out of fear of what other people might think? And most of the time, these people who really have these strong opinions, who really have these hateful opinions, who really have these outward opinions are miserable on the inside, are not showing up in their life, are too scared to show up in their life, and they have to make other people too scared to not show up in their lives. So your job is to begin to silence the external and come within and say, where am I meant to be? Why not me? Why anybody else? I have everything I need. I am built with the things that I need. And the more you come within, the more you hear your voice and the more you feel sure about who exactly you are in the world. And the more you trust the universe to guide you to who you are in the world. The more you trust the universe to show you your purpose. It's really interesting because as somebody who's intuitive, I get asked the question a lot of like, what do you feel my purpose is? And the thing about purpose is that in our logical structured brain, we tie it to career. When people are asking me what their purpose is, they're often asking me like what they should do for a job. The thing about purpose is it's not your job. It's not your career. It's not the board seat that you are on. It's not the places or the not-for-profits that you manage. It is your fullest expression of yourself. Your purpose is to be fully 100% you, because not one other person in this world is you. Not one other person in this world has the experiences or has the knowledge or has the things that they've gone through or the lessons that they've learned except for you. We need you. We've been fucking waiting for you. We've been waiting for you to show up. There is somebody in this world who absolutely is dying for you to show up. So you have to push through these doubts, and you have to push through these fears, and you have to take your life to the next level. And you have to do that by becoming the most you that you can be. You have to dedicate yourself. I was listening to a podcast with John Assaraf. I don't know if he was the maker of The Secret or if he was just in The Secret, but he did a wonderful podcast with the wonderful Ashley Gordon. She does Badass Manifester podcast. Make sure you subscribe and listen to her stuff. Awesome stuff. And one of the things that he said was, just in the way that we exercise our physical body, and the more we do it and the more we do it, the more we build muscle, the more we build muscle memory, the more we build endurance, the more we train, the more we feel better about ourselves, the more we have our own strength. Just as we do that when we have a fitness goal, we also can create goals within our own personality and within our own happiness. And so when we have that goal, we understand that there are fitness elements, and he calls them inner size, which I think is awesome. We have fitness elements in this inner size that we must do and practice to grow strength, to build the muscles, to become what we're seeing and what we design for ourselves. And he used this example, which I think will forever stick with me. But he talks about, there's nothing you don't know how to do because somebody's done it before, which means that if we're in the beautiful age of the internet, which means that if you want to learn how to do something, you really don't need to leave your house to do it. You just need to decide that you're going to figure out a way, because a lot of times when things feel overwhelming or they feel hard or they feel like I don't know how I'm going to get there, we shut down and we just abandon that feeling, abandon that notion, abandon all of the things that we're not sure about, and we settle for less because we're afraid to push through the hard. And so he talks about this example of, now if your favorite actor or actress came up to you, let's say in a restaurant, you're out eating and this actor or actress is at this restaurant and comes up and says, "Oh my God, you would make the perfect co-star for me." And hands you a script and says, "In 6 months, we're going to film this movie. This is your role. I'll pay you $1 million for it." The goal and the outcome is quite a ways away, but it's substantial, right? $1 million and getting to co-star in a movie with your absolute favorite actor or actress, holy crap, that's awesome. How could you turn down a possibility like that? And what he says is, if that were the case, then you would go home and you would learn everything there is to know about that character. You would rehearse, and you might come up against doubts like, who am I to be starring in a movie with so-and-so? Or, I don't really know a ton about acting. But the thing is you would practice and you would slowly get better. And you might go to classes to learn technique, or you might study videos online, or you might learn more about the personality of that character. And my point is, and his point is, in telling this story, is that you would figure it out and you would commit because the reward is substantial. So when we have these goals in our life, we have to understand that it does take intentional inner size. It does take practice. It does take work to allow ourselves to get to where we're going. And we may come up against these doubts, against these fears. And that's natural. When our body and our mind hasn't done something before, it's going to feel uncomfortable doing it. And it's going to doubt, and it's going to whatever. And our job is to say, no, I figured things out. I commit to that because I see a goal on the other side, and the goal is my happiness, and the goal is my success, and the goal is my future, and the goal is what I'm capable of. And the goal is even just the belief that I am good enough to show up, fully be seen, accept myself exactly as I am. We figure things out if we believe in the reward on the other side. And our goal is to do the daily work. And one of the things I talk about regularly is manifestation writing. Huge on that, big on creating your dreams, designing your life through the element of writing a letter to the universe as a thank you note. Biggest life-changing thing I can do. The second thing that I recommend for people is get your energy right, meditate. I don't care if you just sit there for 2 minutes and you just focus on your breath going in and out. You're meditating. Creating calmness in the brain so that it can function better is meditating. Those two things alone will guide you to connecting with yourself, will allow you to get clear, not on what everybody else wants for you, but what you want for you. It will help you redesign all of the elements of who you were meant to be. Instead of feeling like you need to fit into a mold that your parents want or a mold that society wants, because let me tell you, society is fucking loud. Society has a lot of rules, a lot of things that are politically correct, a lot of ways of doing things that are standard or traditional. And so when you start to do things differently or feel differently or think differently or want different things, it can come up against this big voice of society or this big voice of your family or this big voice of your friend group. And that's hard to push through. But when you keep your goal in mind, that's what is going to help you. Okay, I know I can do this. Reese Witherspoon thought I could do this script. God thought I could do this. The universe knew I could do this. So it put everything inside of me that I needed to do it. I just have to understand that's there. I have to let that crack open. I have to let my intuition guide me to the next step. I have to do the things I need to do to go within and start amplifying that voice. I have to listen to what it really wants, not what everybody else wants. What do I really want? I talk a lot about truth and I talk a lot about responsibility and I talk a lot about getting honest with yourself. What is it that feels good to you? What can you see yourself doing? What brings you a level of joy when you want to do it? And the next piece of that is you have to do it like you would do it. And I think it's really hard because there are people out there saying, oh, here's my success and here's step A, B, and C to get to my success. You have to do it this way. And if you do it this way, and you have to create this course, and if you create this course like this, and then you have to do this. And there's all of these structured ways that you have to do things to become successful. And I was listening to Stephen Furtick's sermon, Built Different. You can find that through Elevation on the Elevation podcast, or watch his sermons every Sunday. I think it's on YouTube as well. But in Built Different, he was talking about if you look at the Lego box, like if you're getting like a specialty Lego thing and you look at the box and you pour the pieces out, that has everything in it to build whatever's on the front of the box. Now, if you're trying to build what's on that box with different pieces, you're not going to have the same outcome. So you have to work at discovering and uncovering what your own instruction manual is. And that comes with listening. That comes from inviting in opportunity to learn more. That comes from exploring within yourself what feels right, not just what the next thing is to do. Because the thing is, you were built different. You're built different than the other people. And again, that's what makes you special. And again, that's what's going to make you successful. And again, that is your purpose, to become you. And we don't have all the instruction manual. We don't have the step-by-step instructions, but we do have all the pieces, which means that if we go within and listen to our intuition, it will guide us to know what next two pieces go together. And I think that's the frustrating thing about intuition. And I think that's the frustrating thing about listening to yourself and your soul, is that we want to see the box. We want to see what the box looks like when it's done. We want to make sure it's like got all the pieces in there, and we want to make sure everything's there. But our job is not to account for every step and understand the how of every step. And I think that's where a lot of people get really jacked up in their goals, because they have these goals and they're like, how is that going to happen for me? But what they're missing is they're so focused on figuring it out, which uses one side of our brain only. Figuring things out only operates from one logical side of our brain, which is only the stuff we already know. not the stuff that's coming up for us, not the stuff we're about to learn, not the people we're about to connect with. It's missing all of that because it doesn't know that yet. It can only function off a finite level of information. So when we're trying to figure out the how and we're not trusting the universe and we're not trusting our higher self and we're not trusting that we have everything within us to get there, we're missing the bigger things. We're missing the steps along the way because our intuition is constantly guiding us. It might be guiding you to connect with this one person on social media who invites you into an opportunity to do something you've never done before. It might look like being pulled to go to the store and getting something on sale that helps your business out tremendously. You don't know the things that you do not know. So pretending you have all the answers is a joke. And that is where you will get yourself beat up by yourself. That is where you will do the most damage within yourself, is when you feel like you must have all of the answers within you, or you're failing because you don't know what the next step. And I'm telling you right now, it is okay to not know what the next step is. That's fine. Most people don't know what the next step is. I did for a long time, right? I went to, high school and I graduated. I got my associates. I graduated. I got my bachelor's degree. I graduated. I got my master's degree, got my dream internship job, got a job from my internship job. It laid out for me really, really perfectly as planned. And then I was in that job and suddenly my soul starts dying. And I'm just like, God, is this what every day is going to be? And that's when my intuition just kicked into overdrive and it said, no, you're built different. Here's the next piece. And it started cracking open my intuition. Here's the next piece. And it started cracking open business opportunities. And if you would have asked that girl who graduated with her master's degree in mental health counseling if she'd be doing podcasts and writing books and owning several businesses, including things that she just really probably wouldn't know about otherwise, I would have just been like, no way in hell could I have ever figured out how this is going to happen. And I bet if you look back on your life, you wouldn't have been able to figure out how it's going to happen. But the thing is, you have to trust that each part guides you to the next. And the more you get clear on yourself and the more you listen to yourself, practice listening to yourself, practice meditating, practice asking those questions of like, what would be better for me right now? What is it that would feel right? What is an action I can take? What feels good to me right now? And maybe that is sometimes the action is simply finding joy. Sometimes the action is playing outside with your kids. Maybe the action is throwing snowballs or drawing with sidewalk chalk. Maybe the action is having a dance party. And then the next thing comes. But when we're in a state of joy, when we're in a state of purpose, when we feel really, really damn good, I'm telling you, every single time an opportunity will find you. If you're clear in your intention, if you're feeling good, an opportunity will find you. It will not miss you. Your intuition does not skip a step. And if you have a hard time believing in your intuition, just keep the practice of listening. Just keep the practice of coming within. Be careful not to get mixed up in that anxiety realm, because we can really go off on a tangent in that one. But practicing listening when we're not feeling crazy. Practice listening when we're not feeling fearful. Practice listening when you're not feeling doubtful. Make it a morning practice to check in with yourself, put your hand over your heart, look yourself in the damn eyes, and just see who you are. Because I did this meditation. God, I've done a lot of meditations lately that have just been so amplifying and so cool. But I did this meditation the other day and I had such a response to it, and I sat up and I started writing, and it was like, nobody has to love you or accept you or approve of what you're doing for you to be successful, for you to be happy, for you to be whole. And the questions under that were, do you see you? Do you love you? And do you fully accept yourself? No matter what stage you're in, not that you've already gotten there, not that you've whatever succeeded in this way. Do you accept yourself right now, today, as you are, where you're standing, what you look like, what you feel like? Do you accept that some days are garbage? Do you accept that some days your body is not going to look the way you want it to look? Do you accept that in all of this, there are ups and downs, and we can accept all of them and still push for more? But acceptance is the great neutralizer of emotional energy. Acceptance is the great neutralizer of energy in general. And the more we get into that space where we are finding acceptance, the more powerful we become in creating and designing our future, because we are not getting worked up and overwhelmed and lost in the anxiety of things. We're not getting worked up, overwhelmed, and defeated. We are saying, okay, today I accept that my brain is on another level of going downhill. Tomorrow, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a meditation. I'm going to do a manifestation. I'm going to go for a walk with my family, and I'm going to start over tomorrow. And that is your power in not letting something build this rock pile of craziness for you, but instead just saying, okay, there's a rock. I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to put it somewhere else, and then I'm going to walk past it. Negative momentum can build very quickly, but the minute we decide oh, okay, I'm doing that. I don't want to do that. I remember, because I'm so clear and I check in with myself so often, and I know I'm better than this, and I know I want more for myself than this, and I'm just going to move that rock aside and I'm going to walk forward. I'm not going to put more rocks on it. I'm going to do something for myself in that moment. And the more you check in with yourself and the more you meditate and are clear about your energy, the easier it is for you to recognize those downward spirals and not get involved in them. You can look at them as an observer, not a victim. And the more clear it is of how I best move forward. Okay, I know that when I'm doing this, I need to meditate. I know that when I'm, getting worked up about something, I need to get off social media. I know that when I feel this way, I need to disconnect and just turn my phone off for a little while, because having other people's energy come at me isn't a good idea. So this is about protecting yourself. This is about believing in yourself. This is about assessing what you believe about yourself to be true. Do you believe everybody else can be successful but you? Because that's bullshit. Why not you? People need you. They need your gifts. They need you to show up. They need you to be a full expression of yourself. They need you to be love. And I'm not saying to push and force where there it isn't helpful. I'm saying to meet yourself where you're at, know where you're going, and practice that inner size daily to get to that reward, to get to those things you want. You have one life. And for me, life feels so fragile all the time. I lost a lot of people at a very young age. A lot of young people. I lost my cousin, who I was extremely close to. He was 17 years old. He passed away in a car accident. I lost my Aunt Kim, who was 32. She passed away in a really tragic car accident. I lost my best friend's dad. He was 40 something. He had cancer. I experienced this. I was losing somebody at every 6-month interval. I was at a funeral when I was 10, 11, and 12. And so there's part of me that went into the world of well, if I go tomorrow, am I cool with what I did today? If I were to leave this earth tomorrow, am I happy with who I was today? Did I say the things I needed to say? Did I act in the ways that served me? Did I act from my higher self in a loving, genuine way? Or did I get caught up in the minuscule bullshit? Did I shrink to avoid criticism? Did I not show up out of fear of other people's shitty opinions? What am I cool with that? You were born good enough. You're good enough because you're born that way. You have all the things in you, all the pieces to fit on the box to make something magnificent in your life. And it's time to start using that. And again, all of the clues, all of the instruction manual is within. It's just you're going to see one instruction at a time. That's how intuition works. That's how your soul tells you. Because again, if I was you've got to go through this, this, and this to become this. And I always think of Marshawn Daniels Lynch. She wrote a book called Believe Bigger. It is a Christian read, so I am going to make that disclaimer. I know that religion doesn't completely align with everybody. But she wrote this book, and she was either a lawyer or an agent for athletes. And she was a really successful, really on top of it person. And she decided to get married and felt like she wanted to focus on her marriage. So she ended up, closing down that business. And the night before her wedding, she found out that her husband or her fiance was cheating on her. And she ended up calling off the wedding the night before, or right around the night before. So she went through this whole upheaval And she went through this whole crisis within herself of like, how, I trust and believe in God. Like, how could I have not seen this? Like, I didn't know. And now she speaks and empowers women all over the world to find their purpose, to connect with themselves, to do all of this awesome stuff. But one of the big takeaways of that book for me was like, if you saw the stuff that you may need to go through to unlock parts of your personality that will serve you later on to create what you're meant to create, you would be like, no, thanks. I'm good over here. Because some of the things that help us learn who we become are not pleasant, are not things we could see ourselves without at this moment, but might be taken away from us, eventually. So our job is really to give ourselves permission to not know, to just listen in the moment, in our present moment. That's the moment we can control, to trust that all the pieces are there, to trust that we have our own box and it may not look like somebody else's box that is doing fantastic and is half built. We also need to understand that there is transition time. And what we see of other people's success, we miss all the crap in between. I love reading biographies. I have a million biographies because I find it fascinating that the people we perceive as perfect or awesome or successful in their journey along the way of like just chaos or drug use or substance abuse or depression or, just even reading about how their parents treated them or family secrets. And so it's really refreshing, I think, in some ways to understand that what we're looking at isn't necessarily a whole picture. It's a snapshot of where they're currently at and what we currently believe about them to be true, whether it's true or not. A lot of people who are very successful have committed suicide because we didn't, we thought they were living the dream, and here they are dying within themselves. So your job is to focus on yourself. Your job is to choose yourself. Your job is to accept yourself, to love yourself, and to show up yourself. That is your mission this week. And I hope you accept it and I hope you take it. And I'm always here to guide you along that path. You can best reach me at NicholeEaton.com. You can join the Facebook community. We are chatting and growing every day at facebook.com/groups/rockyoursoulclarity, or you can type it in the search bar. I'm sure it'll pop right up. Make sure to support this podcast by liking, subscribing, leaving a positive review, and then screenshot and sharing. That is a huge, huge help to me. I love to see it. Tag me in it. NicholeEaton.xo on Instagram and TikTok. I love you guys. I am currently open for some sessions in the rest of February. I think I've got a couple appointments available. So just yell if you want to get in with me. But I'm sending you all the good vibes. You are enough. You are built for something incredible. And I cannot wait for you to start unlocking it within yourself. Catch you later. Thank you so much for listening to the Rock Your Soul book and podcast. Take a moment to book a one-on-one session with me or purchase my trainings at NicholeEaton.com. Join the Rock Your Soul Facebook group or follow me on Instagram at NicholeEaton.xo. And if you loved this podcast, don't forget to share it. Thank you.